evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Online Darts Fallout Bar on day one of the 2024 World Grand Prix. We haven't done a Fallout Bar for a while. I'm joined this evening by, I think, the first-time Fallout Barrer, member of the Online Darts team, Harry Lucas. Harry, how are you, my friend?
I'm not so bad. Yourself?
I'm very well, mate, yeah. Very well. Not bad for a Monday. We're picking up nice and early in the chat room. We've got some folks in already. Malachi's in, Bob's in, Sean's in as well. Dr. Sexy, that's I mean, it's a handle. Yeah, I'm going with it. Good for you. If you are watching, folks, if you haven't watched a Fallout Bar before, please do get involved in the chat room. It makes the show a little bit more fun for us and for you as well. If you can't get involved in the chat room, if you're finding that you are prohibited from commenting in the chat room, it's because you aren't subscribed to our channel. We have a neat little trick that we play on everybody where you can't get involved unless you subscribe. So please do remember to subscribe to the channel, get some alerts for when we do go live, and get involved in the chat room. If you are involved in the chat room already and watching, please hit the like button. It just generally makes things slightly better for us when we stream. We've got a slight rebrand as well. We've gone orange. We've
switched it up a little bit, haven't we?
Yeah, we've spruced up. We've got a new intro video that, as per my request, was a little bit Chris Dobie heavy. I'm very pleased. Yeah, it's looking nice. Let us know what you think about it. So we are going to do our usual format for the Fallout Bar. So we'll have a little bit of a chat about what's happened this evening. We'll talk through the games. Some we can gloss over. Some we definitely can't gloss over. There's a few big stories to get to this evening. Our man Phil Bars in the venue has been gathering interviews with winning players. So we have got some exclusive interviews that Online Darts have gathered that we'll play, talk through, and then we will, along with all the folks in the chat room, do some predictions for tomorrow, where we will get to the bottom half of the draw. We've seen the top half opening round today, and that started off, Harry, what feels, to be honest, like a very, very long time ago now, and I'm going to call it an upset, and it was to a great many, but we opened today with Ryan Joyce, the pride of the northeast of England, taking a 2-0 win over Josh Rock. Unexpected, I think, Harry, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, I think I predicted Josh to win today and beat Joyce, and I just think Rock's checkout percentage just weren't good enough. He didn't do two, but I weren't 100% sure which double they were going to start on, but he seemed to be very keen on double 19. But it was his scoring that he struggled with, and then when it even came to checking out, he just couldn't do the business.
Yeah, I think this game for many was sort of Josh Rock's to lose, and you know that sort of that 2-0 victory. It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't reflect probably the level of performance around us, because it wasn't amazing. You know, he averaged 85. I appreciate we're playing double in, so the averages are not what we're used to seeing, and we have to factor that in a little bit. But I think perhaps Josh Rock beat himself in this one,
I think so, yeah. I think Josh only averaged 80.64, and it showed with his scoring that he just simply weren't good enough tonight, and you could tell he was frustrated with himself. Even after the first set, when he was walking off, you could just tell he was irritated with the way he was playing tonight.
Yeah, it's still full of beans and full of energy, but it sometimes I'm not convinced how productive that use of energy is on stage. He certainly is undoubtedly a massive talent, but I think we are still waiting for him to reach that potential. And I think there was a few people I noticed picked Josh Rock to maybe do a bit, not just come through the first round, but go a little bit deeper. But Ryan Joyce, perhaps a little bit of a wild card now in the top half of that draw.
Potentially, but if I'm being honest, I just don't think Joyce really showed much tonight either. Even though he got the win against Josh Rock, still won't be confident in going too far.
No, I think he did right. He showed very little in to be brutal, but he's still there, and we know he's got that game, and over such a short format. If you can get those doubles in early, we're so used to watching games where we focus a lot on pulls of throat and breaks of throat, and it's something that we do when we talk, when we do a live stream and we talk through people playing. We'll often focus very much on who's got the dart, whose throw is it, who's going to hold, who needs to break, and this. It doesn't, not completely, but it does go out the window a little bit. Certainly at times, you can very quickly lose the darts before you've thrown for a treble, and it's an interesting and exciting concept. Anthony is in from over the pond. Good evening, Anthony. Good to see you getting involved as ever. And then, game 2 was, I mean, if I'm honest, it probably went exactly how I thought it would go, almost right down to the statistics. Yeah. There was no surprises here, were there, Harry?
No, not at all. And if I'm being honest, I told you I did a pre-match predictions of every score. This was one of the only 2 that I got bang on right. I was expecting Schindler to just walk through Doan, especially the way he's been this year. He's fought on with his injury and stuff, but Doan's just not what he was really. Schindler averaged 89.95, and then Doan ended up being 81.55, and it showed throughout the performance as well that he just weren't good enough. But he set out brilliantly, did Schindler. I think he got tops first time of asking for the first set every single time to set off, and I think that's just what killed Doan really.
So we've actually got an interview from Martin Schindler. Phil Bowers is in the venue and is very swiftly getting interviews loaded into the back end of our system so that we can hear from some of the players. So let's hear what Martin Schindler made of that victory tonight.
Yeah, obviously it does. I mean, I'm not the person who is forgetting where he's coming from. So right now I need to say that when I'm always talking about the big guns, probably I'm one of the big guns right now, because winning one European is maybe a good day, but winning 2 of them, this is quality. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to sound arrogant or something, but I'm very proud of myself to have done that. And and still, if I'm remembering on both of these moments, it still brings me up to tears a little bit.
Tell you what, mate, if I'd won 2 Euro Tours, you would not be mistaking the arrogance that I'd be strutting around with.
No, 100%.
I think he makes a good point, doesn't he? In that he, at this moment in time, darts is a funny game, and we have to judge people on form a lot. We have to look at what's the last thing they did and what's the thing that they did before that. And of all of the players coming into this, he's arguably. Are we happy classing him as one of the more dangerous players?
I'd say so. I mean, in that interview, he described himself as being potentially arrogant, but he has a right to be at the moment, the way he's been playing recently. I think he's one of the potentials to maybe go further than people think. He's not one of the big dogs on paper and odds and stuff like that, but I think he's got a very good chance of doing well.
Yeah, so next up, and I'm happy to put my hands up and say I got this one completely wrong, because I did try with a bit of a rogue pick, and I thought we've seen such promise from Richie Edhouse this year on the Euro Tour, especially those qualification events, and then on the Euro Tour, we've seen some really, really good stuff from him, and I just thought that it's almost time he's due that breakout performance in a big TV tournament. And let's be, I mean, it sounds a bit harsh, but you couldn't have really asked for a better seed draw than Johnny Clayton, because he has been absolutely way off his game for most of the last 18 months. But he rolled back the clock a bit today, Johnny, didn't he?
Yeah, he was absolutely brilliant today. And I mean, I think it's a bit unfair on Edhouse. I think he looked good in certain parts of today. He weren't great in the first set. Johnny completely walked it, but you could see glimpses of what Edhouse has produced recently and how good he were today. I mean, an average of 93.71 from Clayton is just ridiculous in this sort of format.
Well, that's it. It certainly is, especially in this format. And it was, unfortunately, Richie Edhouse just wasn't able to find the type of darts that he's been finding pretty regular for the last year or so. And it was a shame it didn't make more of a match of it. Just before we go any further on this one, let's hear what Johnny Clayton made of that victory.
Yeah, for the last year probably. I've not been bothered at all. But there's a bit of fire in the belly again. I'm hungry. So, with a new ferret back.
Does it annoy you watching other people win then when you believe that you should be up there doing it?
Yeah, 100%. Of course it does. Listen, I'm a dart player. I want to be the best in my sport. So, I have to be honest, in the last year, it could have been packed up time. But, listen, I'm back enjoying it. I've got a smile on my face. And I don't like losing. So, that's a good thing for the ferret.
Do you know, while that video was playing, I had to remind myself, and I had to have a little click around. As I said before, I've got all sorts of different windows open. I try and access information when I might need it. And it's still, we've seen players have a rough year. Like, and I'll use, for example, Peter Wright, for example. We've seen Peter Wright have a rough year, rough 18 months, and he finds himself slipping to 14th in the world. So Peter sits at 14th in the world. We've seen other big, Gary Anderson sits at number 23 in the world. And we've seen these big players go through rough spells and they've just slid down the rankings. I had to genuinely check myself there that Johnny Clayton somehow is still 4th in the world. He's still ranked number 4. I don't know how that's happened. It doesn't make a great deal of sense to me.
No, I don't think so either. I didn't even realise that, to be honest with you. I wouldn't have said that.
No, but if he's back in the way, so what he said there is we're gonna see a new ferret. That's a really dangerous prospect for lots of, because he's really flown under the radar for the last year, and he has been. And again, I think Johnny's a brilliant player on his day. But he's almost been a bit of a gimme on some occasions because some of these big boys in the top 10 have turned up and thought, right, round one, Johnny Clayton, straight through, back, and he's got bashed up. But Johnny, if he's reaching his level again, then he's just another big player in that mix, isn't he? And he's already up that top, and he's going to qualify for things. And we know that it's stacked, that top tier. But that's a very dangerous prospect for all the other players, I think, having Johnny Clayton back to even close to his best.
100%. He was brilliant tonight. If I'm being honest, I weren't expecting it. I was expecting him still to win, but even though I thought Edhouse played quite well tonight, I just think, well, especially in the second set, I just think that Johnny was just unbelievable. And there wouldn't have been many players in this tournament tonight who'd have ended up beating him.
Absolutely not. Now, this next game was, probably the first game this evening that I really enjoyed. So I thoroughly enjoyed watching this game. I thought it was absolutely superb watch. And I thought this was the first time tonight that we really saw, well, to be honest, it was the first game that wasn't a 2-0. So we did see a bit of back and forth. But these two, Aspinall and Searle, went blow for blow at each other. They really pushed each other to the wire.
Yeah, it was brilliant, to be honest. And Aspinall tonight, the way he plays, I didn't know where to go with this one with him. So I weren't 100% sure. But there were a couple of throws in the game that Aspinall looked a bit nervous at big moments, and I thought it was going to cost him in the end. But obviously ended up pulling through. But it was a brilliant game from the pair of them.
Yeah, really, really good stuff. We do, because I tell you what, Phil's done a cracking job tonight. We've got loads of interviews, so let's have a little listen to see what Aspinall said, and we'll see what we can break down from that.
You miss so much as a dart player, and the differences between darts and like football or golfers. We only make money if we win. They make loads compared to what we make. So yeah, there's a lot of sacrifice, and the time I have fought while I've been off, I've enjoyed my 3 months off. I've been healthier, I've been eating good food, I've been doing running and this, that and the other, and is it worth it? The answer now, dead right is.
We got in there with the beat button nice and quick. We had to get in with the beat button. He's certainly got a bit of bite back. And I mean, did you expect, Harry? We knew that he was going to go and have the surgery. And we've seen a lot of dart players go for surgery. And often we have not seen this. We haven't seen this type of comeback where they've come back so quickly and so close to where we think their A game is. It's really impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, I weren't expecting him to be. I was expecting him to take a bit longer, to be honest, to get back to firing the way he were tonight. But I think that just shows the kind of character that the Asp is. 100% passion. He just goes for it and tries his best at everything. You can tell that in the way he goes, and sometimes it hinders him when he puts that much into it, and if he potentially gets a bit nervous about little bits of stuff. But I weren't expecting him to come back like the way he has already. It's incredible.
No, and I tell you what, we didn't see very much of at all. Is we saw very, very little reapproaching the hockey. We saw very little re-gripping. It seems that we know the injuries plagued him for ages. But what it seems like is the various other things that crept into his game whilst he was suffering from that injury, he's managed to eradicate virtually straight away, which I think is very, very impressive, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's not even just the injury that he's come back from. He's looked like you just mentioned. There's those little things that people are noticing. He's tweaked them. And he's come back, to be honest, not far stronger than what he was before. But yeah. What did you expect from this game tonight? Did you think Searle or?
I picked Aspinall, and I picked Aspinall, and I only lost my bet because I included a ton plus checkout in there as well, which he didn't quite manage to pull off for me. But I did pick Aspinall because we have seen really promising signs for him since he's been back, and I think more of that today. And again, I think he's laid the marker out there and established himself that he is one of the contenders in this tournament. You know, he's not a decent player that's recovering from injury. He's right there, I think, which is brilliant. Next game, Raymond van Barneveld against Ricardo Pietreczko.
I think we've mentioned everyone being in the mix, haven't we? I think.
Yeah, well, we might knock that on the head for this one.
Such a strange game.
We might pack that in at this point. I can't work out still. I can't work out if I enjoyed it or not. I can't work out if it was interesting or shit. It was a really strange game. But after an odd back and forth, Pikachu gets over the line, and he just sort of it was a bit nip and tuck, and we had three. You know, we had 3-2 sets for the first two, and they sort of were matching each other. And he just seemed to get his foot down, and that breaker throw in the second leg in that last set. Barney just didn't look like he had anything more, did he?
No, I think it was just such a strange, like you said, it was such a strange game. I think Barney missed 9 doubles to start at the start of set 3. And it just showed from there, it just went downhill. I just thought, it was, like you said, it was a very, very strange game. The averages weren't great. The checkout percentages weren't great. But then it still showed some form of entertainment because they weren't far on par with each other until the final set.
Well, that's it. That's why I think it just confused me. I mean, Bob's called it, and he's right. Just a few more shout-outs as well, because the chat room is bouncing, to be honest, tonight. It's really busy. Robert's in, Scott's in as well, as is James. Bob just pointed out that, and I saw it and didn't mention it, that Pietreczko is the first player. He will not be the only, I guarantee it, but the first player to forget about the double starts, to come straight to the hockey and chuck on straight for a treble 20. Absolutely superbly entertaining. Thank you very much, Ricardo. We do enjoy a bit of foolishness up on the stage. But yeah, I still can't make my mind. I think it was entertaining whilst it was tight and we didn't know who was going to win. But at 11:30, I'm happy to say it was wank. like at the same time. Like, I wasn't impressed, and I think we should probably just move on to the next game.
Yeah, I don't think it followed Ryan Searle and Aspinall either, to be honest. I think that could have made
That's the other problem, is because the sandwich was very entertaining game, absolute toss, and then very, very entertaining game. So we'll move to another very entertaining game. And now, by hell, he's got... well, I don't know. I'll get your view on it, whether or not the world number one and world champion has got away with one here. Or is he just really good, and if you don't take the one match start that he allows you to have, he'll do you. But Luke Humphries and Stephen Bunting, this was a properly entertaining game of darts, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And if I'm honest, I do think he got away with one tonight. I think Stephen Bunting were absolutely incredible, especially in that first set. But then it was when Luke followed up with one in set two. I could just tell that it were completely changing. The tides were changing. You could tell the way when he threw that. And I was watching it with my stepbrother, and I just looked and I went, Luke's got this here. He's got this. And thankfully, I put a bet on him to win at 9-1 as well.
Yeah, I saw that you shared that in the group, and I was very impressed. You in terms of timing, I don't think you could have timed it any better. I think you managed to get him at about the highest. I would go as far as to say that's about the highest price Luke Humphries has been in a darts match in about 18 months. That's about it. Luke Humphries has not been 9-1 to win a darts match in the last 2 years, I don't think.
No, Bunting looked unstoppable, but then it's like I say, in that second set, the way Luke Humphries started playing, you could tell he was getting into his rhythm. Well, and then I thought something's changing here. But then I also thought Bunting still got a good chance with the way he'd been playing as well.
He did. I think what it is, and this is the case with Luke Humphries, because he's just so good. In order to get to that point where he got the match start, where he was flat, he was well ahead, Bunting. But to get there, he was having to play so well. He was having to put 2 darts into the treble 20 every visit, and he was doing it. But the moment that you can't sustain that incredibly high level, Luke Humphries will immediately chase you down, because he's just so good that you've got to play so much beyond where you've got to get to beat anybody else to beat him. The moment you take your foot off the gas, or the moment you have a wobble, or you don't, or in this format that you don't get him first, he's just going to have you. He's just going to come back. Now, before we go too far into it, we have got an interview with world number one, world champion Luke Humphries. So let's hear from Luke before we go any further with this one.
I don't know if I want to tell you, to be honest. It wasn't, I don't know if I want to tell you. Okay, I do, but he just said it. I bottled it. That's what he said, but I don't think he did. To be honest, I think he missed one good dart and it didn't go in for him. And then when you're chasing the game, it's hard. I don't believe he bottled it. He said that, but I don't think he did. I just think it's one unlucky dart. He looked like he threw it well. If it goes in, then he's 2-0 winner. So yeah, it was kind of hard with the crowd behind you, and they're just chanting football chants all the time. Like, let's leave football at home. We're at darts now.
That kind of fired you up a bit.
It did a little bit in the end. I was kind of in a negative attitude where I thought, I'm just not going to retaliate to it all, because I just can't be bothered. We're here to play darts. This is, I support Leeds United. Everyone knows that, but let's leave the football chants at home. We're dart players. We're not footballers. So if I'm in a football field and Leeds are playing against whoever and they're chanting it to me, then I'll accept it and love it and I'll embrace it. And I still try to embrace it, but it's just constant. We're at darts. That's not. But if it carries on, then so be it. It won't affect me. It didn't affect me to win that game. But the crowd were good regardless of that. It's nice to be back.
Couple of points, I think, in there. Firstly, and I'm happy to do a little poll in the chat room, but I'm going to ask you first and foremost, Harry. Get involved in the chat room. Did Stephen Bunting bottle that? Or not? What do we think in the chat room?
I don't think he did, personally. I don't know if he's saying that. Well, bottling it. Every player has missed those chances probably tonight on that final dart, and it weren't as if it was miles off. I just think you're unfortunate. But I suppose when you're playing the world champion, you've got to put that away. That's your chance. But he was still that far in front. He probably thought, well, there's a chance I could get back into this and keep going. So
yeah, I'm not in the camp of him bottling that. I don't think he bottled it. I don't think you can call someone a bottler if they've missed one dart. Like I don't think so. We also didn't see a catastrophic drop off in his form. What James almost summed him up there. Humphries is just inevitable. Well, it's. I just think he was playing at such a high level that he just couldn't sustain it. And if that coincides with Humphries just clicking, then because it's a short format, Luke Humphries taking 5 legs on the spin against any player on the planet is not newsworthy, really. He's so good. It's not worthy of discussion. I don't think he bottled it at all. I think he missed a dart. I think it was a perfectly decently thrown dart. I just think Luke put his foot down and he had him in the end. But again, like, great game to watch. Because we got a bit spoiled for a spell in this sort of back half of the schedule, because we'll move on to another Luke who didn't quite have as much luck. Now, it's difficult to remember that this is number 20 in the world playing number 4 in the world when Luke Littler plays Rob Cross, because if you go to any bookmaker certainly in this country, you would not think it was number 20 in the world playing number 4 in the world. And what do you think? Did we see an upset here? Or did we just see, 2 Premier League players, realistically, year to date, top 5 players, both of them? Did we just see one slightly edge the other one out?
Yeah, I think in this game, I think it summed it up really with the checking out percentages. If you look at it, Rob Cross had 80% checkout percentage and Luke Littler had 37.5. And I think that just proved, and that was the reason why he ended up winning today. Because I don't think out of the two, I don't think Rob Cross were miles better than Luke. I don't think Luke were miles better than Rob Cross. I just think Rob Cross took his chances when he had them, which is where Luke fell today.
Yeah, he was. I mean, Rob Cross's doubling was sublime. It was absolutely superb. He doubled at 80%. And the only, really, even when Luke Littler has an off game, the only way that you can beat Luke Littler is you've got to keep your average within 5 points of him. Mm-hmm. And you've got to barely miss a double. And that's what Rob Cross did. Like the recipe for competing with Luke Littler is you have to keep your average within 5. Regardless of where he's at, you've got to keep pace to him and close to him, because you've got to get the doubles, and then you've got to barely miss one. And he did. He went 8 from 10, which is absolutely outrageous. Like, at this level on this stage, it's superb.
I saw that before that he had 9 trebleless darts in leg 3 in set 2, and then he still it was just crazy. He had that, but then he could pull it back in the next set. I thought that dip of 4 might have ruined him before set 3 started, but he ended up pulling through. That's all right.
No, I just think it was. I mean, for me, it was without a doubt the most. It was the highest profile game. I mean, you could argue that Humphries and Bunting was, but I think realistically, these two were far, far closer together in form over the last year or so. I thought it was a great game, really entertaining. I know there are folks asking questions. Obviously, we've seen Littler go out of. We've seen him play unbelievably good stuff, and I mean, like, beyond good with some of the things that we've seen from Luke. But we've also seen him now for a couple of times go out of major TV tournaments very early. it's difficult to just keep in mind that he's very, very early in his career. And if we picked anybody else, again, if you picked Gezi Price, MVG even, Peter Wright, Darren Hill, some of the greatest players of all time, that Rob Cross would beat them. He's suffering from being an unseeded player, isn't he? Like if he comes into this at a seed, he doesn't meet Rob Cross, but he's come into another tournament unseeded. He's gone to the match play, played Michael Van Gerwen opening round, and what a ridiculous draw. And then he's come and got Rob Cross. He's an unseeded player, so he keeps having to meet former world champions in opening rounds. And really, these games should be quarterfinals, semi-finals, potential finals. But Luke keeps having to deal with them in round one. And many times he comes through that round one and goes on to do something brilliant in the tournament. But the law of averages suggests that sometimes he's going to get beat in the first round because he keeps playing elite players in round one. I think we're going to see a very, very different next year from Luke Littler when he's seeded in all of these tournaments.
100%.
He definitely will be seeded in them. We have go on, mate. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, quite a lot of the seeded players, they can have a dodgy or ropey early game, first game, but the more they end up playing the tournament, the better they come. And whereas Luke's not got that chance, he's against the very best from the beginning. It's very difficult for him to scrape through if he's not playing his best against a seeded player.
Yeah, 100%. And it's going to be very, very different next year. Let's hear from Rob Cross and see what he made of that one.
You watched me play for the last 8 years? No, it's one of them. Look, if I can find an happy medium in my head with it, because it is me, I think it's a great tournament. By the way, I think it's fantastic. It's different. It's not my kind of different. But look, a lot of players, they excel at it. Also, I seem to find it just takes all the things what I want to do away from me sometimes. It takes the power scoring away early. And but the finishing I'm pretty good at, and you think that'll pick the pieces up. But for me, look, the tournament's brilliant. It's just my head. I don't want to play ball sometimes.
I think he echoes what many people think, because regardless of what the format is, it is just a bit refreshing, isn't it, to not see a race to 6, race to 8, whatever we're used to seeing constantly all year round. The fact that we're seeing set play, set play has got, it delivers such twists and turns and such fast spin rounds of where the game is, but also that double in format as well. It's just amazing, isn't it? It's just lovely.
I find it more exciting. I think obviously it doesn't need to happen all the time, but I do like that differentiation of the double in format. And as it's been said a lot, Rob Cross ain't got a great history in the doubling format. However, they proved everyone wrong today, didn't they? It's doubling with the best thing that he did all night.
It is, and if you're also 8 out of 10 and you're doing 80% on your checkout doubles, then you'll probably get away with coming in a bit later if you can relentlessly pagger the outer ring as and when you need to check out. So we will wrap up the top half on night number 1 with a game that, in all honesty, I thought this was going to be more competitive and tighter than it was. It showed glimpses. And Jan van Veen, average 94, one of the best performances of the day, but just blown away by an on-form Ross Smith, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. I feel a bit bad for Van Veen, really, but when you're playing against yourself, really, aren't you, in terms of Ross Smith come on there, did his game, Van Veen did his, and if he'd come up against maybe half of the other players that have played tonight, he might have half a chance, but Ross Smith was just unbeatable tonight.
Yeah, it was. It really, really was an impressive performance. It was the most impressive performance, and it was the most impressive performance by some way. In fact, the second most impressive performance of the night, the second highest average. So if we want to talk statistics, and people in darts love talking statistics, the second highest average of the evening was Jan van Veen.
Yeah.
Like that was the second highest average that we saw all like this afternoon or this evening. So that shows you just how far ahead Ross Smith was of the rest of the field today. An absolutely superb start. And you know, Ross Smith is a dangerous player. We've seen him win on big stages. We know he's got that game, but he's a player that I think for a while he's had that potential, hasn't he, to really solidify himself as a top 10 player, and he could do that. We could see that, and this could very well be the start of it. It hasn't happened yet. Before we talk about any further, let's see what Ross himself had to say about it.
I usually don't say I have, but I suppose I have. You know, I'm looking at minimum quarterfinals in every major now because I'm not going to lie, I want to be in the Premier League. It's something that I've always wanted to do, and you know, since I was a little kid, you know, watching it. So I'm not going to beat about the bush. I've said it previously, but I know to do that, I'm going to have to do something special. You know, I won a major and I wasn't even in it, so. But I know it's down to consistency as well. So quarterfinals are an absolute minimum going forward in all majors, and hopefully I can pick up a title as well along the way.
Thoughts, Harry?
Thoughts? Well, I mean, he's right. He does need to keep getting consistently quarterfinals if he does want a shout in the Premier League. Do you think?
Malik hit the nail on the head there. How the hell have we ended up on a legitimate, like, PDC player directed conversation about the Premier League in October?
He's ready for. He wants it. He's wanted it. And he has said it for a while, like he mentioned in that interview. There, is he good enough? Some nights, like tonight, for example, yeah. But it's that consistency and getting in there, and also for the actual PDC itself, names and personality as well, being a big draw to the Premier League. And is his name bigger than, I know Peter Wright's not been on form, but is it bigger than Peter Wright's name in the world of darts? It's not. And I think he needs to get more consistent, get further in tournaments, and he would have a shout if he performs like he did tonight.
Yeah, if Dover hasn't got a 30,000 seater arena, has it, to warrant putting him in to sell tickets in Dover? I sort of what he said a little bit for me. I think you summed it up perfectly. You know, he can if he plays like tonight. But we know he's got the game there, but we do just need to see that, you know, we saw that European title win, and he didn't get the European title win came when the Premier League format was trimmed, you know, so we got less players than we used to have in the Premier League. It would be a shame if his time had come and gone. But I think at this point in time, you've got to get really deep. He's probably got a point with going deep in tournaments, because I think at the minute the majors are, you know, it used to be that if you won a major you were in, because everybody different won a major. But now all the majors are just won by people called Luke, and that's only 2. So if you want to be in the Premier League, like you probably have to do some other stuff, and he's probably got a point. Go consistently through to quarters or semis, and 5 or 6 times make sure that you are, you know, you're being there and you're in big games and you are competitive in those semi-finals, even if you don't get through to the final. Right, that wraps up day 1 and the top half of the draw, which means it is prediction time. So in the chat room, please do get involved. We will go through tomorrow evening's games one by one. And if you wouldn't mind, well, not if you wouldn't mind, just really do it. Put your predictions into the chat room, and when you're wrong, we can ridicule you tomorrow night, just as I will ridicule myself and Harry, probably. So I'm going to, should we do, I'm going to have to check because I've got the bracket open there. So let's do them in what I think is the running order for tomorrow. So I think tomorrow is going to open with Dave Chisnell against Cameron Menzies. Now, all I'm looking for here, Harry, and everybody in the chat room, don't forget, if you are going to press a button, you might as well press the like button first. Then use your keyboard to tell me whether or not you think Dave Chisnell or Cam Menzies is going to win. And is it going to be 2-0 either way or a 2-1? What are we saying, Harry?
I'm going to go Dave Chisnell on this. I think 2-1. I think Menzies will put up some form of a fight. But I don't know, to be honest. It could really go either way. I'm not 100% sure because I feel like Menzies is going to be up for it tomorrow. So we'll see. What do you think?
I think Menzies is really rogue in this because we've never seen him in this event before. You know, no. he's a debutant. Like, we've never seen Cam Menzies playing this double-in format. I do know, because we've got the stats, he is currently in the top 3 best players in the world for form. Problem is, Chizzy's right up there as well. I'm going to go Cam Menzies winning 2-1. So have a quick look through the chat room. So Malachi has gone Chisnell 2-0. Daz has gone Chizzy 2-0. Dr. Sexy's gone Chiz 2-1. Bob, who is a member. Don't forget, you can be a member, folks. You get some bonuses. Sign up for a monthly membership. He's gone Cammy 2-1. He's a wise man, is Bob. He often finds himself agreeing with me. James has gone Chizzy 2-1. HJB Chizzy 2-1 as well. So Chizzy definitely coming out. The chat room is backing you on that one, Harry. The next game we have to have a look at, I think this is a tough one, is Luke Woodhouse against Dimitri Vandenberg. And you went first last time, didn't you? So I won't keep you first every time. It seems a bit unfair. If it's us on, I can bounce on other people, but it seems unfair just to keep coming to you first. I think Dimitri Vandenberg has been shite since he won the UK Open. There's a case to be made that half the way through the UK Open he was shite as well. Luke Woodhouse has got a game in him, but it's a big stage, and Dimitri's used to winning on a big stage. 2-1 Dimitri Vandenberg.
I think I'd say 2-0 to Dimmy, to be honest. I'd love Woodhouse to win, but I've got a feeling that it might just be a bit too much for him. I think Dimmy, I'm not saying he's going to walk it. I think maybe the first set will be close, but I do think that Dimmy will come away with a 2-0 win tomorrow.
I think the experience of just that pressure of being on the big stage. I know Luke Woodhouse has been there, but he hasn't been there as much as Dimmy, and he hasn't been there in the big events like Dimmy has. Let's have a look in the chat room. Bob has gone with Dimmy 2-0 win. He's agreed with you this time. Bob's changed allegiance.
I'm about to say that, yeah.
Outrageous. Malachi also has gone with a Dimmy 2-0 win, as has HJV. James has also gone with a 2-1 Dimmy. Daz has gone 2-1 Dimmy. Dr. Sexy's gone Woodhouse 2-0. And Barry has gone 2-1 Woody. So we haven't got a clean sweep in the chat room there. We have got a few people predicting a Luke Woodhouse win, but the heavy favourite in the Fallout Bar chat room is Dimitri Vandenberg. Third game. Damon Hetta and Mike De Decker. What do you think about this?
I think we're going to go Hetta 2-0 for this, I think he's just going to, well, you know what he's like when he comes on that stage. Everybody knows he's there, whether they like it or not. Everybody knows he's there and he's there to perform. I think he's just going to be too good for the Decker tomorrow. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I tend to agree. Well, when we were on the live lounge on Monday, we talked through, whilst we didn't go through opening games and things like that, we picked I think we picked semi-finalists who we thought was going to get to a semi and then who we thought was going to win. And I've got Damon Hetta making a semi-final. I think it's a great format for him. I think he's in brilliant form, and I think he's just that good at the minute. That it's going to take someone having a monster performance to beat him. And whilst Mike Dedeker's got a big game in him, I think it's a very comfortable 2-0 win for Damon Heta, and I do still back him to have a big run. I think he makes a semi-final. In the chat room, Malachi's got 2-1. Sorry, I read that backwards there. He's gone 2-1 Heta. Bob's also gone 2-1 Heta. Daz agrees with the 2-0 Heta victory. James has gone Heta 2-1. HJV Heta 2-0. Barry's gone 2-1. And I am convinced that Dr. Sexy is just being a contrarian going against majority. Because he is the only prediction for Mike Dedeker there. Either that or he's maybe related to Mike Dedeker. And
he's got something there.
And Luke Woodhouse. But he's gone 2-1 for Mike Dedeker victory. But the overwhelming thoughts within the chat room is definitely that's going to be a Damon Heta one. Now, this is one of my picks for what I think is going to be a fascinating game. I'm not promising high-level darts, but I think this is going to be a fascinating game, and I think it will be entertaining. But Peter Wright against James Wade. And it's my go, isn't it?
It is your go, yeah. That's what I asked that. Yeah, I think it is your go.
I think this is just about the hardest game to pick tomorrow. I think. I'm happy to say it's the hardest game to pick. Either one of them could win 2-0, or it could be 3-2, 3-2, 3-2. Like it really, really could. But see,
you're not sure who's going to turn up either.
This is the problem. And so both of them have had an upturn of form, and we've seen brilliant stuff from both of them in the last 3 months. We've also seen absolute shite from the pair of them in the last few. Like, but who do I think will come and get the job done? James Wade, 2-1. It'll be 2-1, I think, this game. But yeah, I'm going to go with James Wade, 2-1.
I was going to go with James Wade. I weren't sure on the score, but I'll go 2-0 just to be a bit different to you. And then Peter Wright will end up winning. We'll both be wrong.
Yes, correct. Yeah,
but yeah, it's just weird. I don't know. Like, it depends who turns up tomorrow. Like,
it does. It's a really tough pick. I think that one. Let's have a look at the chat room. Malachi's gone 2-1. Wade, he's backed me on that. James is with you. He thinks 2-0 Wade. Bob thinks that Snakey's going to get. There is a very strong case here. He's been playing some good darts. I think it depends which ones he brings with him. Barry's gone 2-1 Wade. HJV's gone 2-1 Peter Wright. Dr. Sexy's with a 2-0 machine win. And Daz has gone 3-2. So that match probably has split the chat room more than any of the others so far. I think it very much depends on, like you say, which version of each player turns up, which set of darts Peter Wright throws, you know, how James Wade's feeling. I think there's so many different factors in that, but it could be brilliant or it could be absolute top. Now, here's another game, and I'm happy to stick with this. Could be brilliant or it could be absolute toss. Gerwin Price and Danny Noppert. I shall come to you first, Harry. It's your go.
And it is to me first and all. And this is what I'm struggling. I feel like, well, I felt like tonight's were a lot easier to predict, but my acca didn't look like that. However, it's just, I think Gezi 2-1. I do think Gezi 2-1. Noppert can turn it on, like we mentioned, but I just think that Gezi's going to have it in him tomorrow. Just more of a gut feeling rather than any form of starts, form, anything. I just feel like Gezi's going to turn it on tomorrow.
Yeah, I feel like that's all you can do for this game is go a bit gut feeling. Like, I just think it's so unpredictable. But, I think he might be too busy with a chippy. And I'm going to go with Danny Noppert to... Oh, I nearly did it. 2-1. I nearly went 2-0, but I'm going to go 2-1 to Danny Noppert. So what else have we got in the chat room? Again, I think we've split the chat room with one. So Malachi's gone 2-1 for Danny Noppert. James has gone 2-0 Price. HJV 2-1 Price. Bob is Price 2-0. Joe's given us a speech, but I just want a score, Joe. Give me a score. Daz has gone 2-1. Oh, Joe has given a score. Well done, Joe. Sorry. 2-1. He's gone 2-0 Price. Barry has gone Noppy 2-1. Dr. Sexy's gone Noppy 2-1. So we've split the chat room again this one. I think it is a bit tighter tomorrow. A lot of the fixtures tomorrow are tighter on paper. Might not be what we actually get to see, but certainly tighter on paper, I think, tomorrow. Now, again, if you want a game that isn't... So we looked at Wright and Wade and said, well, this could be entertaining, but we're not convinced on the level of darts. This one could be outrageous. It's got so much potential. And I think everyone's hoping that this is where the fireworks happen tomorrow night. But Michael Smith against Gary Anderson. My turn.
I think it's you, yeah. Yeah, it's you.
You can't predict against Gary Anderson. It's a mental block that I have. I'm unable to... Gary Anderson 2-1. But I think it could be outrageous. Michael Smith hasn't been playing as well as Gary lately. But we know, everybody, if you've watched darts, you know what Michael Smith's game is and what he can throw. And what Gary has been throwing recently has been, quite frankly, bordering on the robotic. It's been insane.
Yeah, I think Anderson's going to win as well, but I like to be different and go 2-0, but I just can't see Smith getting beat by 2 sets.
That's the difficulty I had. Gary's been playing so well, but I'm not. Does anyone does Smith not get a set off anyone? Of course he does, because he's Michael Smith. It's a tough one, isn't it? Let's have a look.
That's what I mean. I think the only way it'll possibly work is that Anderson wins 2-0, but then each set's 3-2 to Anderson. That's the only way that I think that he doesn't get one.
Right, Daz has gone 2-1 to Gandor. James has gone 2-0. Well, I tell you what, it's a clean sweep, I think, in the chat room. They don't think it's going to be... Malachi's gone 2-1. Gandor winning. Joe has gone 2-1. HJV has gone 2-1 as well. Barry doesn't think Michael Smith's going to get a set, and he's gone 2-0. Bob has gone 2-1. Dr. Sexy's gone 2-1. Dream, but I'm not playing. You've got to pick Gary Anderson or Michael Smith. It's not me. I'm doing the Fallout again. Right, that's going to be mint, that game. I can't wait for that to be class. Now, here's a game that 6 months ago I probably would have struggled to pick, but I don't think I'll have any problems. Michael Van Gerwen against Daryl Gurney, Harry.
Duijvenbode 2-0 MVG, I think. To be honest, I wanted to try to be a bit different, but I could only see Van Gerwen winning it, really.
Yeah, I like it. I often think it's a bit dull if two of us both predict exactly the same thing. But I think if you don't pick 2-0, then you're being silly, really. Because I think that's what's most likely to happen. I think it's a 2-0 MVG win. Let's have a quick look at the chart. Darren, yeah, just he also, when he's not playing darts, he has a chip shop. And so my biggest problem with Gerwin Price's fish and chip shop is it is not called the Big Fish.
Should be. I mean, that'd be easy, wouldn't it?
The world champion darts player. His chip shop should be called the Big Fish, shouldn't it? I don't know what it's called. You know,
it'd be quite on brand.
Chip shop or something. I don't know, but yeah. Why was it not called the Big Fish? Joe has gone 2-0 MVG. James has gone 2-1 MVG. HJB has gone 2-0 MVG. Daz has gone with a Gurney win. He's been playing all right lately.
He must know something we don't. That must have some inside information here.
Barry has got Mighty Mike. Darren doesn't think running a chip shop affects your darts. It does if you spend all day putting chips on Instagram. Malachi's gone 2-1 Gurney as well. So there is a bit of love for Gurney in the chat room. Dr. Sexy thinks it's, I'm going to assume the Dutch Destroyer is MVG. MVG 2-0. And MVG's defending a lot of money this week. The fish are big, yeah, fair point, maybe. Right, last one. Now, I don't know whose turn it is. I don't really need to pick, do I?
I think I know exactly what you're going for.
Well, I think the world does, because when I said that I had a mental block that stops me from picking against Gary Anderson, I've got a physical block that stops me from. I'm not good. I've never picked against Chris Dobie, and I don't intend to start now. Chris Dobie wins 2-0 comfortably.
Joe Cullen wins 2-0.
What?
Comfortably. Comfortably. No. I knew that.
I think we've definitely. Where are you again? Like we've definitely hit some sort of regional impasse here, haven't we? Like, are we both within a few miles of the hometown of each player? Is that where we are?
We're not. To be fair, we're not. But I just thought I'm going to have to go against you here. Wind you up a little bit.
Good. Well, I fear that you may be somewhat outvoted by the chat room, because I can already see that James has come in with a 2-0 Dobie win. Joe has got 2-1 Dobie, as has Barry. HJV is in 2-0 Dobie as well, and Daz is a 2-0 Dobie also.
I'd love to say that my Joe Cullen prediction was through hard hours and hours spent of stats and looking at everything in previous games, but it's literally just to oppose what you've said. That is literally
of course it is, because if you did any research, you'd predict Chris Dobie. Barry's also gone Dobie 2-1. Bob has got. Bob is nearly bang on with his prediction, because he's gone 2-1 and misses the ball for a 9-darter and the match win, and that's almost correct. Only the ball actually will go in, Bob. That's the correct prediction for tomorrow. Right, we've done tonight. We've done tomorrow, and we are with the Fallout Bar is back. Is it? I think it is. It the match place. Probably the last time we were out doing some Fallout Bar, which is. It feels very strange indeed. Thank you very much, folks. Great to see you all back again in the Fallout Bar chat room. I have been Dan Simpson, and I will be back tomorrow and probably for most of this week. Thank you very much, Harry, for coming and joining us. We hope to see you again very soon. Thanks, everybody in the chat room. Don't forget, all of the little clips of interviews that we showed you tonight are part of bigger, longer interviews that are available on our YouTube channel. So please check them out. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I will see you again tomorrow evening. Thank you very much and good night.
Cheers.